Welcome back, everybody. It's been a while since I've made a video. I very much apologize, but I've been working a lot. This is the first week I've had off in 6 months or so. I don't know, since the last time I made the video with the coolant white pipe on this truck. But with this week off, I've got a bug up my you-know-what about getting my Ford done with the Fummins project with the 12 valve. And a lot's happened in the past, I don't know, month or two. I mean, from ripping off the bed on it to just sticking the motor back in and just trying to put everything back together. I'll show you that today, and then we're going to be hopefully getting it all back together, and I'm trying to get it done maybe in the next month or two. I'm building a flatbed for it, and I'll actually show you, if you've seen my other videos, Max, who actually gave the explanation on the rear brakes on my 2013 Ram. He's building, or he's almost done actually, with his flatbed on his truck. Remember the truck that had the crankcase, the cracked crankcase in the back because a dowel rod or dowel pin dropped in and cracked the case from against the gear. That truck actually, he decided to just repaint it, do a flatbed, make it a farm truck, and be done with it because it was rotting out. So he redid everything. He put new doors on it. He repainted it. But that's not what we're here for today. We're talking about the 12 valve. So I'll give you a sneak peek of his. I'll make a video of his alone, partially today, maybe tomorrow, and we'll get started with all this. It's currently what is this today? Thursday. It's raining outside, but let's get started. Walk into the shop and I'll show you what's going on in here. All right. So maybe I should give you a sneak peek of this now. A lot messier than I left last night, so they were working on something. But here we are with the Fummins project here. Talked about the bed getting ripped off of it, and actually, like I said, I've been busy. I've been trying to get this done. I needled the frame, I put the rust inhibitor on here, and then I put chassis saver all over it, and with the intention of kind of copying how he built his bed. But my problem is I have a short bed. It's kind of going to look funny. It's going to stick out. Probably the end of the bed will be right there at the hitch. But that's what we're on today. We're on putting the motor back in this thing. And here's my little workstation yesterday of playing with all these wires. The whole 7 wires it needs to make this motor, well, for at least the computer to run. And this mess over here is the leftover from the Ford motor and whatnot. So this is all going to get tucked away nice and pretty in the corner, or cut off, one of the two. I haven't decided yet. But I ran into a snag last night when I realized the gasket for this front cover is not the right one. I think it's for actually a 94 98 motor with the either the P pump, or it's the one for the ones with the 24 valves, because it's a little bit bigger. So I ordered that up. Gonna go pick it up here in about, I don't know, 20 minutes, half hour, whenever they call me to come get it. And we're gonna slap everything back on, and I'll be able to put this nice brand new wire loom here. I don't really like to use it because it holds in dirt and grime and whatnot, but in effort to make it look nice and tuck it up nice, I'm going to use that and tuck it all back. Actually, I have a different intake horn. I grabbed another one from I believe it's not a P pump style. I think it's for the 24 valve style. This guy right here. And we're going to use that instead because there's just more airflow compared to that little baby one that comes on the earlier 12 valve motors. But yeah, there's the motor all back in. Actually, I went ahead and I used a RV manifold. I think I talked about it before in one of my previous videos, and I picked up that, I didn't pick up, it's actually that same HX35 turbo that we stuck in there. So, I Got most of the soldering done yesterday. I have to do one more that goes to a battery, which both batteries will be there instead of over there now. And I have to do something about the starter wire, because it's only long enough to go from where this battery was previously to the starter down yonder there. You can maybe see it, I don't know. Anyway, it's down there. So anyway, I'm going to prop this camera up after I get back from getting that gasket. We're going to slap this cover back on and then hopefully put all the accessories back on so I can route the wires all nice and pretty and whatnot, and we can start putting all the front end back on and seeing what else I might be missing. I know I'm missing a banjo bolt for the fuel filter, or the fuel supply by the side of the motor here. I actually cut it off. I cut off that line previously because I didn't have the correct threaded nipple for the fuel filter, and it had a fuel heater on it that screwed up, and then the fuel filter went on it. But I needed a special nipple to delete the filter, or delete the fuel heater, because they leak all the time anyway. But anyway, I gotta find that banjo bolt so I can put the stock line back on so I can hook up the fuel and we can get going with this. Power steering wise, it's all in the diesel conversion specialist kit. It's like a $70 line. It's a special line that goes up, because it's a hydro boosted master cylinder, to the back of the power steering pump here, and so this just goes into there. I don't currently use the vacuum at all. I might just take this off and put a filter on it or something for right now, because it's absolutely doing nothing. Max was trying to convince me to use it for my four-wheel drive, because this little tank over here, it's like a little pump for the vacuum for the Ford hub assembly for four-wheel drive, and that's the only thing it really uses for vacuum. But anyway, yeah, it's gonna be lots of fun. Stay tuned, and here we go. Oh, and he also painted his truck white. I don't know if you noticed that. White, and then did the gray down here with like I want to say like a bed line finished, and then painted over that. That's pretty cool. So yeah, he's currently thinking of skirting this. I told him to put toolboxes on to make it more, a little better, whatever. To each their own. That was back rack. So yeah, give you an update on that. Maybe make a whole video on that with him when he gets here, and let's get something done. Alright, so a few minor setbacks. I know I said I would show the wiring and me putting the loom on it, but after the part got in, I got a little excited and kind of put it all back together real quick, and since the front ends are really easy to put back together, just like it's 10 bolts and just put everything in there, I kind of did it. So yeah, but the radiator, intercooler, the condenser, transcooler, you can see everything. There's the condenser and the transcoolers down there, and then literally there's just 6 bolts holding, or sorry, yes, say 8 bolts holding this brace on. A few hold the radiator on. In the past 2 days, I've kind of been running around. I haven't really gotten much done else besides what I did the other day with this. I had to go to a junkyard and pick this up because the factory one on the Ford that goes up there won't clear with that intake. Hence is why I had this little baby original intake horn on it. But this thing just the air is horrible on this airflow. So I put that on. It's actually from a 24 valve Cummins motor. But in order to do that, I had to get rid of that coolant bottle, and I had to get this one. So the past 2 days I've been running around getting fluids and random hose ends and brand new battery cables for this thing. So today I hope to at least turn it over. So we'll see. It's the front end there. And yeah, I just gotta tie up some loose ends with hoses and whatnot. You can see the front cover went back on nicely with all the accessories. I gotta find the belt for this thing. I don't know where I put it. I gotta tie in the fuel lines better. I have to go pick up the fuel filter from the parts store that finally came in. What else? I actually gotta make a bracket for this coolant bottle because the one this came off of was actually a gas motor Ford, and this is obviously a diesel motor we're putting in here. But this was the bracket. You can see it doesn't really, it's not gonna work. So I'm gonna have to cut that here, weld this to there, and then maybe make a bracket from here to there. It's actually got a hole right there that I can actually put a little clip in and bolt to it, so I can utilize this. And then the other one where this came off, it had a little bracket that went from here to these bolts, but obviously it's not going to work now. So besides that, I got to put the legitimate fitting on for focus down here. It's for the coolant instead of what I have in there, a 90-degree pipe. I don't know if you can see, there's a T down there, and then it goes forward. When I put the factory one on, it goes straight up and out, so I can just take the end of this bottle right here, you can see the hose right there, and come out the side and go straight into there and avoid that mess. Oh, there we go. You can see it now. See that? I don't like it at all. I gotta get rid of that. So that's gotta go. I gotta change the fuel filter anyway. I didn't dress this yet. I don't know what to do with it. I don't have any 1/4-inch wire loom left. Either with this either. So, but anyway, I gotta do the oil drain for the turbo. I gotta put on these coolant lines back here for the supply and the return of the heater core. See, it's just, there's a supply from the water pump area, and that's the return. So I gotta hook that up back there. I gotta somehow make a bracket for this because I don't know what I did with the original one. I do have a second, where is it? The bracket for the condenser I might just use, and use the bolt here to hold this up out of the way off the heater here, or off the exhaust. But yeah, we're getting really close. Aside from, I forgot to get this piece here. I broke mine for this. It goes right up here. Holds all the wires all nice and pretty. But I picked it up from the junkyard yesterday. Maybe I'll make a point to go get it next week sometime after work. But yeah, we're moving right along. Still have to, I think Max is trying to convince me to make this into a single battery instead of a dual battery setup, which I don't blame. I'm not against that idea at all, actually. Might work out better just put on one semi battery. It's 1100 cold cranking amps, and it's pretty decent. Actually, I'll take a walk over here. I think there's one sitting over here. I don't think it's a semi battery. I think it's just an oversized thing. Here. Alright, so here's just an oversized battery. You can tell it's pretty big. Got a standard battery to show you. Come here. Come here. So that's a normal battery. You can tell there's a little bit of difference. I think this one's like 800 cold cranking amps. That one's like 1100 or 1000. Yeah, there it is right there. 1000. But anyway, we are going to try and get everything almost 100, not 100%, it's not going to be 100%, but majority of the way to at least turn over the motor. I have to get a gauge, an oil pressure gauge, to test pressure to the, test the oil pressure, make sure I'm having enough so I can have enough to get to the turbo and not blow up another one. It's like the 3 that went out last time this thing was running due to lack of oil pressure and or leaks or just the angle of the turbo. It's supposed to have like a slight angle on it so it drains out nicely. But yeah, I forgot when I was running for parts yesterday to actually pick up some boots for the intercooler piping and the cold side. I think what I'm going to do, if this works out nicely, which it should, is if I don't need this in any way, I can just cut her loose and 90 this up so I can just go up and over into the hot side of the turbo. And then this can get, routed here. There's actually a panel in the gas motors that have a little cutout here, or in the Dodge motors, rather. But anyway, you can cut this open, or it just has enough airflow. It would have enough to come through here, because there's a gap there and whatnot. So we shall see what to do with that, and then the cold side as well over there, the up pipe, I have to figure out what to do with. But we should be pretty close to getting her done today. I gotta go find where I put that drain tube, pull this off and play with that, get everything set up. So yeah, let's do it. Here we go. Right, I got a little time to burn. I'm waiting for this the aero coil to loosen up the hose in the oil drain spot. It's down there. You can see that nozzle right there, and it's kind of like stuck in the block. It's just a press fit thing. Here's a new drain, oil drain for the turbo. It's just press fit in there. It's got some O-rings, so it's probably the original. It's been stuck in there for a while. Last time I actually used part of the other oil drain and with a hose and welded it where I needed it. But this time I'm going to go with more of a legit setup. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to work on the coolant bottle bracket here. I tried to put this on, like I said, it's not going to work. Because either I put it on, I cut this, and I just weld it to this other piece here. I cut them here and cut them here, but this one's beefier. It's already molded to the radiator, so I'm just gonna leave this one. What I think I'm doing right here, I'm gonna be cutting this right here and then welding it on the side of this one here, and that'll be that. And then for this, I'm gonna have to make up a little, get a piece of flat stock and just drop it down, drill a hole, weld it on, so it sits, you know, where it belongs. But I'll go ahead and cut this and weld it. That's about it. I didn't film it because I was not really able to see down here while I'm working in the gallows. But I changed out that fitting and had I didn't have the legitimate fitting when I first did this swap, or first put this motor in, but there's a little T I had it screwed into the block and then put the nipples out. Got really corroded. I think that's just because of what the these nipples were made out of. I think kind of rusty and corroded. Whatever. I got the legit setup in there for the actual coolant pipe. I redid this pipe for the supply. Going back there, I gotta get some hose clamps. I gotta still make a bracket to hold those coolant lines up. Yeah, and just waiting for that so I can get it unseized and pull it out. I have to go run to the store once again. The size difference between that hose flange right there and this one are way different. Actually, I have them right here, so I cut off little pieces that I need. So I got to go from this and funnel it down to this. It's just for the degas bottle coolant reservoir. So nothing special. It's not like it's gonna have a constant flow through it or nothing. It's just an overflow bottle. So yeah, I'm gonna go cut this, weld her up, and I'll show what I did. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show the process. I'm on my own today, and yeah. So here we go. And I'm back. I just cut it off and kind of mocked up where I wanted, and just tacked it and put a line of weld on here. So there's that. It's gonna be still hot. I'm gonna go ahead and take it off and hit it from the back side too, but I'm also going to cut this roughly here, and then I just found a piece of flat stock that I took to the bench vise and hit it with a hammer to bend it like that. Probably have to bend it back a little bit because there's a slight angle right there. Kind of, you can see how that was on an angle. That's going to be the same. So I might have to bend this back a little bit, but I'm going to go ahead and whack that off real quick and come back and see where exactly I need to weld on here and how far to cut this. That looks ugly anyway. I'm going to cut that off regardless. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick, and I'll show you what I create there. That little drain plug is still not loose, so I think when my buddy Maxie gets here, we're going to hit with a torch. He's going to be on fire control, and then we're just going to rip it out with some big channel locks. Already got the channel locks ready to go and the torches. So, just going to wait for him to get here. When he's done, And I'll show you this. So let's go. Go ahead and weld this little angle piece on. I just made up and cut. I'm gonna see how well this works on the camera. I haven't tried it yet. I kind of don't want any sparks to fly at it, but don't know until you try it. So. Neat. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and take that piece off, and I'm gonna go set up on a little wire cart or basket, whatnot, and weld the other side, and go and wire wheel it, make it look pretty, and then maybe some other day I'll paint it. So, not too worried about it. So, just want to get it done while I'm waiting here. Doing everything I can. This is just a redundancy too. It doesn't really need to be done, but I don't know. I like my welds to hold for a longer period of time, and yeah, we'll just go with that. I don't know if you can hear that. Oh, sorry, let's do this here. I don't know if you can hear that in the welder where it like sputters and spatters. It's because I didn't clean the metal good enough. I didn't grind it down enough and give it a good enough surface. It's kind of rusty a little bit. But it'll still work. And then I also don't have the voltage too high in the welder because I don't want to change the settings on what Max is doing with his flatbed. It's no inconvenience to me. Why mess with it if you don't have to? Just work with what you got. So, wait for that to cool down, wire wheel it, make sure I didn't miss any spots. There's any little pockets, I don't know, too crappy and whatnot. And then, go ahead and put it on. I still have to make one more bracket up for this coolant bottle. Bracket that goes from here to the battery tray itself. But I think I'm going to wait until I have the coolant lines done and then figure out what I'm doing for the boost tube. So, just gotta wait. I want to get the fluids in this truck today. I think I'm gonna dive under here in a minute if that piece is still not loose before he gets back, and go ahead with hooking up trans lines and any fuel lines or power steering lines that I missed. Other than that, almost ready to go. I think I'm gonna run to the store here and maybe another half hour or so, go get those reducing pieces from a local hardware store for these coolant lines. And I don't know where the other one went. But yeah, stay tuned. I'm going to keep you updated as much as I can with what's going on here. I know I'm not trying to film everything, just trying to sit on by myself, and I forget the dang things on half the time. But I'm trying to make an effort so everyone can enjoy. So, see you in a little bit. Guys, again, memory card's giving me problems, saying it's not saving or whatever, to execute saving of whatever. Anyway, I may have made an oops. Max walked in and was like, hey, is that coolant bottle going to be clearing the hood there? I'm like, yeah, it should. I'm like, it was off of another Ford. It's like, well, lo and behold, the coolant bottle I did take this off of was a gas motor Ford. And the gas motor Fords, I don't know if you can see over here, I assume so since I've got a little screen. You probably are looking at a big screen, but anyway. The gas motor Fords are flush with this core support. So the radiators are straight, not up higher where this is. And adding that bracket to it added up here. So he had to go on a store run, so he's gone for right now. But I took down my little temporarily hood light there, works great by the way, and cleared off this front collar of all the tools, and I close it, and sure enough, the coolant bottle hits the hood. So I just wasted all that time on that bracket for nothing, but still waiting for that pipe to come loose, that drain plug. But anyway, I just slopped it off real quick. Whatever, no big deal. Grind it, make it look pretty. But I took this bottle, and it had like a little, kind of like how I made that little bracket where it L'd down. Well, I cut the L part, I drilled a hole in the side part of it, and I screwed it from the back side here. So this is where it's going to sit. It does clear now, without having to put it up here or making some weird other bracket for it. So I'm just put that whole thing to kaput. It's done. Anyway, so we're here right now. I believe it's time for me to go for that store run. I believe all the metal is cooled off. Always give it about an hour before you walk away from this place, just to make sure there's no problems with heat or anything you've welded, just as a safety precaution. But you should follow too. Give it at least a half hour if you've been welding after it, to stay around and make sure nothing caught fire, nothing smoldering. So it's been over an hour now since I did that. I'm gonna go run to the hardware store, see if I can find the barb fittings for these pieces here. This hose literally fits in. This little hose literally fits in the one coming out of the coolant bottle. It's just, yeah. So I have to find like a step down bit or barb fitting for it. No big deal. I'm kind of hoping, since I have limited clearance now between where the intercooler boot is now and where the coolant pipe is going to be, I'm gonna have to straight 90 it out right away and then go down into the coolant barb right there on the other side of on the underside of this alternator and right in front of where the oil filter would be. I'll show you that later once I get to it. But yeah, I'm gonna go on a store run right now, change this battery because it's dead, and I'll see you in a little bit. For that brief store run, I got the fittings I needed for the coolant bottle, and there it is, connected, all done, close clamped. Still got to put a clamp right there, a few clamps back there. Luckily I picked them up while I was stopped at the parts store to get the filter. That'll do for now, and then I'm gonna make a bracket for this, and then I got to figure out what I'm gonna do here for the hot side turbo. I may cut down the nipple, the barb fitting that's in this 98 degree 1-inch fitting here, so I can shove it up farther. Actually, this can actually be angled more. I just have to loosen that one side over there. I can angle it up more and make that fit. Onto the starter cable here, I'm going to be using 1/0. It's not really overkill, considering that the original starter wire here for the Fords were 1/0. The starter is down there, and I'm going to have my battery set up down there, so I'm going to go up and around and down, or I can go right here. They're actually in that bracket that I welded on and cut off. It had this bracket on it for cables. There's actually a smaller one that was with it. So I don't have the crimp required for this, so what I'm going to do is just cut off the coating, put it over, hit it with a punch in the middle to like crimp it, and then just hit it with a hammer. It'll be the simplest thing I can do. And then bend it over so I can get, so there's not going to be contact with the signal wire for the starter. So that'll be that. I also have a smaller cable for the alternator that I'm also going to be running up and around. I don't know if I'm going to bring it this way yet towards the battery tray and then go up and around. I probably will, because I have enough of it. I have over 20 feet of it, so I can use what I got instead of having to route it in here with the rest of this loom. I already did that up all nice and whatnot, so I think I'm just going to run it right in the front, right on top, just so it's accessible if I ever need to fix something or access it. But that plug there still hasn't come out, so I'm gonna waiting for him to get back, waiting for Max to get back so I can torch this thing and pull her out and I'll keep going here. But I'm gonna go put that end on that cable and yeah, keep going. Well, I crimped the fitting, I crimped the lug onto the 1/0 cable for the starter, and I also did the same with the alternator. Actually, I had to file down the sides here a little bit so I can get it in that little collar. So I'll put a heat shrink on it. I actually hit it a little too hard and blew through on the one side, but that's okay. Heat shrink, dielectric grease, no problem. Starter cable's on. I'm gonna have to get some wire loom for it just to make it look nicer. But where I have it, I have enough slack down there to go straight against the frame, and then follow up on the heat shield here, and then come up on the top of the firewall slash cowl, and I'll run it with this wire loom underneath when I get that new plastic piece here. I'll get it all nice and pretty up there. Right now I just have them extra draped over there. I ran this one, I might get a wire loom for this too. I ran the cable for the alternator around like I did with the rest of the wire loom, and then up and around. So everything just kind of chilling over there until I get a battery and figure out how I want to situate it. We're moving along here. I believe I am going to move on to torching that little fitting down there by myself and getting it going, because I need to get the turbo hooked up. I want to get the soil filter back on and get oil in it, and I want to temporarily turn it over and see how the oil pressure looks. See if it's maintaining where it needs for operating. So yeah, and then I still have to put on some hose. I think I'm going to do that right now. I'll put some hose clamps on there and there. I actually got to push this hose. I think I have to cut it back. Actually, I've got to cut it and then move it up a little bit, because these two pipes, I can see the bulges here and here. They actually can butt up next to each other and just get hose clamped together. So, and I still have to build or make some kind of support for these two coolant pipes, and that's it. I just gotta see if I can get more slack out of this vacuum cable here for this vacuum actuated valve for the heat back there. See how that line's kind of yanked into the side there. But anyway, we're almost there. We're almost at that time to give her a start. Actually, I'm going to pull this coolant bottle off and clean it out because it has got some nasty content in it. I don't know what happened with the last vehicle this was in. Focus. Anyway, we can see that down there. Let's see, focus. Nope, no focusing. Anyway, there's some gnarly gunk down there. But anyway, I'm going to continue on this project here today. It's only 1 o'clock, so got another 4 hours of gas left in me. So we'll see how much I can bang out real quick, and see if I can't get this thing at least to turn over today. I'm hoping. I just gotta dump fluids in and make sure everything's tight. Put some hose clamps on, but I'm basically there, except for that oil drain. So yeah, here we go.